You'll find this video is not directly related to my Royal Enfield Bullet, I'm afraid, but you will find it's related in some ways because it's all about the stand, the Clarke CML3, which I've just bought. And this video is to show you how I assembled it. Hopefully it might help if you get one yourself. It does take up a bit of space and it is quite heavy, so just bear that in mind if you do decide you're going to get one. But for working on the bike, absolutely ideal, and you'll catch some future videos with me doing that, I expect. I have just bought from Machine Mart a new Clarke CML3 motorcycle lift. I've obviously unboxed it, as you can see, and I've laid out the parts just to give us an idea of where they all go and to identify them. The next thing I'm going to be doing will be to unpack the nuts, bolts, washers, etc. Get them roughly with the component parts so they know where they're going to be fitted, and then start assembling it. That's the ramp at the back there. So the first thing I've done is I've tipped out the 2 bags containing the nuts, bolts, washers, etc. One bag has the U-bolts in and all the smaller fittings by the look of it, small nuts, bolts, split pins, etc. And the other pile seems to have the larger fittings, obviously to hold the bigger parts together, but I shall distinguish them and lay them out next to the bits and pieces. So from the smaller pack I've identified the 2 larger washers and the 2 split pins go with the rear wheels. Moving along, we have 2 bolts on their own with a flat washer and a spring washer. I've got one in there, this is the other one. That's to fit the actual safety plate over the lowering pedal to stop you standing on it accidentally. Coming back along a bit further, we have the 2 casters which go on this end, the front end, and they are held on by the smaller bolts with the plane and the spring and the nuts, and they go from the bottom, as you can see there. I've got them ready in place. They go from the bottom through and upwards, and that's according to the picture in the instruction book, putting it together. And then we have the 4 U-bolts which attach 2 on either side into those holes there, which are just below the wheels, which allows you to strap the bike to make it stable when you're working on it. So the nuts, bolts and washers from the other bag are designed to hold on the wheel clamps. There should be 12 of them with washers and nuts as well. Right, we have the front wheel clamps here. The fixed one, you have a choice of where you put it. There are 4 pairs of bolt holes on the right hand side of the lift looking from the back forwards. That is to fix this one in place. You can either have it further forward, depending obviously on the length of your bike and how far forward you want it, or you can have it a little bit further back. The other arm is a 2-piece part. This actually attaches to this. This bolts onto there. That then bolts onto the chassis or onto the lift, and that's what moves it in or out to adjust it to clamp up to your wheel. The other part I have here is the front plate. This is the bit that fixes on the front here, to stop the bike rolling forwards off the end. So I'm just going to put that on initially. You're going to be using the large bolts and the large washer and nut, and they use 17mm spanners, or in my case I'm going to use a ring spanner on the top and a socket on the bottom. So it's the bolt through, followed by the washer and then the nut. I'm just going to fit them loosely for the moment. Okay, when one's in place it's a little bit easier. That is adjustable forwards or backwards, again to match up with this, just so you can adjust it just where you want it to fine tune it for your bike. So I've had a bit of a move around in here just to give myself a little bit more working space, as you can see. I'm now going to continue with the actual assembly of the item, and the book suggests that I start with the pedals and fit the safety plate at the back. So starting with the pedals, we have the lift pedal, and moving down to the left hand side of the unit, that just pushes on like so. and then the lowering pedal goes onto the shaft next to it, like so. The next bit is to fit the warning plate. Now, to do that, I do actually need to lift the ramp up a little way to give me some space. So that's the lift raised a little bit. Just underneath to the right of the pedals, we have two tapped holes, one there and one here, using the two washers, spring washers and bolts, using a 14mm spanner. So I'm just going to get these lined up. And they are threaded bolts, threaded holes, so we don't actually need to use any nuts with these. Just a little bit awkward to get to because they are a little bit blind in behind there. There we are, so that's now nice and tight. And my next job, looking at the book, is to attach the two casters at the front. So the casters fit under here using the 4 nuts, bolts, washers. That's a flat washer and a spring washer, and they go from the bottom upwards. Now obviously I need to lift this a little bit, so I'm going to do that by using this lift here, which is what you use to stop the wheels, lift it off the ground when you've got the ramp in use. Now I'm just using this here just to lift it up, just to give me a little bit of working space. There we are, that's giving me a little bit of working space. I'm going to put one of the back ones in first, probably the one in this corner, which is the most awkward one to get to. So then I put a flat washer on, followed by a spring washer, and then the nut. Now this is a 10mm nut and bolt, so you'll need one top and bottom to hold them in. So I've just got that one held in place, and I'm going to do the same with these other 3. Now I'm just going to release that back down onto the wheel, and I will now continue and do exactly the same job on the opposite side. And that's the other side completed as well. Just drop that one down. So the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to fix the rear wheels. Now, what I'm going to also do, I'm going to spray a little bit of white grease on the spindle, because there doesn't appear to be anything to lubricate it. I've also placed a piece of wood under there which just lifts it up off the ground enough to give me enough clearance to get the wheel on. So I'm going to push the wheel on there, followed by the washer, and then one of the 2 split pins. So I'm going to drop that through there, get my pair of pliers, bend one side up like that, the other one up round like this, and then just squeeze them together. So that's that one fitted completely, and I'm just going to do the same on the opposite side. So with that now done, that should give me a little bit of mobility. Yeah, excellent. Okay, my next job, I'm just going to pump it up to a decent height, and then I can have a see what it looks like from there. Just need to remember to refit the lift pedal, and then pump away. Yeah, that's looking good. It did say in the book to put the rear ramp on just before I did the casters, but as I haven't got space at the moment till I've moved it this way a little bit more, I shall leave that until last. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to pump it up a little bit more now, and I'm just going to see that the locking bar fixes in place okay. This is now I've pumped it up. There's two positions for the locking bar. There's that one there. It allows you to lower this quite a little bit way back down, but this must rest against this chassis here before you actually start working on the bike. Where I've got it at the moment, in a higher position, that slots into the lower hole, and then what you do is you would then press the lower pedal. Now that is locked in position, that is now safe to take the weight, so as if any of the mechanism fails, it won't just collapse on you. So to remove that, you just need to pump it back up again a little bit, pull the locking bar out, and then press the lowering pedal. Okay, so I'm now going to fit the right hand wheel clamp. I'm going to use 6. I'm going to put it in the forward position at the moment, although I could have it further back. I'm just going to fit it here for now because I want to see how it lines up with the stop plate at the end. So there's 6 bolts going there, and each one of those bolts on the back has a flat washer and a nut. The ramp is lifted up here just to make easy access to the bottom. Otherwise it's really close to the floor, and it's down near the chassis, which makes it rather awkward anyway. Okay, and the next bit is, as you can see, that moves in and out, and that's what pushes this in and out to grab the wheels. So these 4 bolts here, no washers appear to be on this one. So I'm just going to get those 4 threaded in first. These use a 13mm spanner to do these up. And that is now the wheel clamp in place. Again, as I said, they can be adjusted, both of them further back. So the next stage is to fit the 4 U-bolts, which are these safety clamps. So you take the 2 outer nuts off, place them through the hole. Again, we don't have any washers. Make sure there's enough thread on the bottom to at least get the nut all the way up to the end of the thread. So these are 14mm nuts, and what you'll need is an open ender to hold the top one, and a ring spanner or something, socket or something similar, so as you can tighten up the bottom one to lock them together. You just need to hold one and tighten the other one against it, the bottom one, nice and firm. Okay, so they're all done. I believe, apart from going around and just making sure all the nuts and bolts are nice and tight, move it somewhere where I can just put the rear ramp on and wheel the bike up and see what it looks like with the bike on it, I think. So that now just leaves the rear wheel access hole. Just opening that and taking out of its plastic wrapper. It's got a little handle hold there, and that just slides into there. When you want to release your rear wheel, and it's up in the air, just lift it off, and that just gives you a little bit of access. And that finally leaves the rear ramp. Now the rear ramp has 2 pins here, and on the other side drops into these 2 holes here, and underneath you put the washer and a little clip which goes through a hole there, and that just stops it falling off. So you're just going to locate that in the hole on either side, and the washer, and then the pin. It literally just pushes through nice and easily. It's quite a substantial ramp, so you don't want it falling out. Okay, there we are. I'm going to put it on the centre stand because looking at those clamps, they don't seem to be quite in the right place for my front wheel, so let's just get them on the centre stand. There we are. To be honest with you, I do prefer that. I think that'd be much safer with a couple of straps. I've got somewhere here I can put a strap round, strap it to here, and maybe again round the headstock to the front ones as well. So I think that'd be my preferred method. Yeah, a little bit of room around the rear wheel as well. I'm just going to lift it just a little bit just to try it. I'm not going to go too far because obviously I haven't strapped it up. Let's just see how it lifts. Oh yeah, that's nice and easy. I think that's high enough for now. Oh, and even that itself would make a big difference to working on the bike. Yeah, make life much easier. So that's it for now. So if you did like that, then you can click the like button if you like. Maybe click the subscribe, because although this video wasn't specifically about the Royal Enfield, it's very related. So a lot of the work will be done on this ramp. So hopefully I'll see you in a future video. Thank you very much for watching. Bye.